Hi, welcome to Crypto Crazy. I'm Cal, and today I want to talk about holding cryptocurrency versus trading it. So, before I start, if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe. I do make regular videos. I share my views and news as well. And I've been in cryptocurrency for quite a while now, and I've changed strategies as well now. So, that's what I want to talk about. And before I do that, I just want to have a look at the market cap. So as you can see, it's $1.46 trillion. So over the weekend, it had hit 1.5 trillion. And then within 12 hours, it fell a considerable amount. And as you can see from these graphs here on the side, it fell around about 7-8% in the space of about 12 hours. And usually what happens is people begin to get scared. What's going to happen? Is it now crashing? It went up too fast. Is it going to come down very fast as well? And that kind of sets up why I think now I am someone who would rather trade than hold. So let's just go to one of these coins. So number 10, we have Chainlink. And if we go to Chainlink here, and we can see what it's done over the last week, and there'll be people who would have bought up here and then it kind of came down very, very quickly, and who sold. I know people who sold and they thought it was going to go down much lower, and then it started to pick back up again, and they bought back in again, and then it began to go back down. So it is very hard to know what to do, but I think if you have a strategy, you should definitely stick to it. And by that I mean, if you're looking to hold, then do hold for a long term, because there are some coins that, well, a lot of them will have volatility, but there are some. I was speaking to someone else who is invested in Skycoin, and on a similar sort of basis, they saw the price of it go up to $6 here, and they bought. They were buying on the way up, and they bought at the top, and then it fell to half the value very quickly, and they sell, and they think that's it. It's going to be going down. So this is what I want to talk about in terms of why trading over holding for me now. So before I go into the whole setup of what I look at, and I'll try to keep it as simple as possible, I just want to mention in the past I did hold. So I've probably mentioned this before, but just to kind of show you, let's just go into Bitcoin. In the past, in the graph, let's have a look at what it did of all time. I remember buying towards the end of 2017. Now it went up very quickly and then it fell down. And yes, I could have held and just waited for the next uptick, which would have been now, some years later, 3 years later. But if you can't afford to do that, or if you don't want to do that, then I guess trading is the way to go about making sure you're making more consistent profits. So what I tend to do is, if you go to Binance, I'm not even logged in here, you can just go to advanced, and you can then, regardless of whatever coin that you have, is you can have a look at certain technical indicators, as you can see there on the screen. So I've got them on already, but the ones that I have a look at are, so you can scroll through and you can have a look at Bollinger Bands is one that I like to have a look at. The other one is and I'll tell you what these are as well. Another one is the Money Flow Index. I also like to look at two others, which are the Williams Alligator, and as well as that, the Vortex Indicator. So if I just come out of this and I'll just show you what is happening on this chart here. Actually, what I also do like to do is have a look and see where the prices are moving around a lot that day. So if we have a look here, and we've got the top one, you can have a look at the biggest losses and the biggest gains by percentage change. And the first one we have here is Coco's. So if I go to Coco's, what I'll be able to see is, if we scroll out, we can have a look at this in certain intervals. So that's the 1 minute, and just scroll down, you'll be able to see here, this is what's been happening in the last 4 hours or so, or sorry, 2 hours or so. And you can also change that to every 15 minutes, and it gives a slightly different picture as well. And obviously you can have a look at a much more longer period of time. So if I see a coin like that, then it's Coco's. Have a look at the change. And I also do like to have a look at and see what has been happening in terms of its general volume movement. So you can go to somewhere like Coin Market Cap, and you can see that is that the right one? Coco's, yeah, that's right. So ranked 402. You can have a look at, see what's happening with the volume change. So not that much. Sometimes the coins have a lot more volume change, and sometimes it can be 500-600% of a change. But that just shows that there's probably more money quickly going in and out of it, and it's going to be more, there's going to be more volatility. And the reason why is because the more money that's going in and out, the bigger these movements up and down are. But let me tell you about the indicators now. So what I like to do is you have the Vortex indicators, which shows, actually, let me show you this. So you can actually go to Investopedia and have a look at the definitions of what these are. And what you'll see is there's these calculations, and they talk about the general upflow, inflow and outflow of cash. So that's what you're looking with the Vortex indicator. Similarly, for the money flow index, it's having a look at what has been overbought, oversold. Bollinger bands give you a moving average. Now, you can read this in more detail and to try to understand what it is. I wouldn't get too bogged down. I wouldn't get too involved in the details unless you really want to. It's more so generally how you use these indicators and understanding what they're for. And then you get the Williams Alligator indicator as well. So do have a read on Investopedia. You can find these up at any time. But let me just show you. So here is the Vortex indicator, and what you're looking at is where this inflow is going across the outflow. So the blue has crossed over the red, and generally what that does is it's an indicator for most people as a buy-in point. What they also have a look at is the money flow index. So as you'll be able to see here, the number at the side, that reads across here to about 50. So at this point, it's gone above. Is it above 50? Just above 50 here. Obviously, the higher, the better, the more inflow. Similarly here, so these three lines that you'll see, so here's the price movement, but then you see these moving average lines. And that is the Williams Alligator indicator. So the reason why it's called alligator, these are the teeth of the alligator above the lips, which are the lines, so the candlestick movements. And so if that's gone crossed over here, the Vortex indicator, and the money flow is going high as well, and here, as we see, the teeth are above the lips, then these are all good indicators to buy. Similarly, for the Bollinger bands, if it's towards the bottom of it, then it generally indicates a position that is oversold, too high, and it's overbought. Now, these are just indicators, and they should be used as such. So it's not a definite buy, but you look at it, you see what's going on, and it's saying that using these, it should be in a buy position at the moment. So I like to have a look at the 15-minute and also the 1-minute position as well. So just to kind of see what's going on in that. So if it's generally looking good, and I like the look of what's happening in the same indicators in the same way in the 1 minute, then I would buy to get a quick profit. So one thing that I do want to point out is when you do get, for example, here, you would say, oh, okay, it is a buy position. And generally, as it stays above the crossing point and it stays pretty high on the money flow index, and it stays above the lips here as well, it's generally a good position that it's in. You'll see here the volume goes up. I think an increase in volume always shows that there's more people who have all of a sudden got interested in it, who are buying, possibly selling as well. And when it starts getting probably too high, then there's always an indication that it might be overbought. But the main thing to remember is these indicators together won't work 100% of the time. By that I mean sometimes if all the indicators are saying buy, all of a sudden someone can come in and start selling a lot. Things can change very quickly. So with that in mind, it's always good to see what's happening with the price at a live time. And if it's an instance that it begins to turn down and the blue line here begins to cross over the red, the money flow index starts going down, the teeth move below the lip lines of the Williams Alligator, it's usually a case of, okay, right, rather than trying to hold on and seeing if it's going to turn up, you sell. So you sell straight away. It doesn't matter if you haven't made a profit, but you don't also want to make a loss either. Whereas if it does begin to go up, generally you want to see what type of profit you want to make. So in this instance, if you have a look at how much volatility there is, because if you're following it and it doesn't move up that much, maybe a couple of percent every time, then you're looking for a couple of percent before you sell. If it moves up 10% every time, then obviously you can afford to try to gain more percentage profit. So here, this line here is saying for me to buy, looking at the indicators. And then I would have a look at, let's say, I don't know, a couple of percent is good enough for me, 2-3%. Once it's gone up to that position, so if I bought in at 87.87, let's say 88 even if it's hit around about 90, 91, 92, I'm in a good position to sell. Now, yes, it did continue to go up higher, but that doesn't matter for me because I want to make sure that I get that profit booked in. Similarly, if we have a look later on here, and let's say this is a good buying position because it starts to go above the alligator lines here. This begins to cross over. This is above 50. Again, here it would drop down. And this is what you need to keep an eye on. Maybe that's a sell position, but then it starts to go back up again. So if we are looking, let's say here, 1.7, it luckily just jumps up a lot. But again, I would have already put a sell order in and got out after taking my few percent. So I just want, that's very, very quickly. I mean, if you want me to go into more details of each one, that's good. I just want to kind of get you looking at how the trading side of it does work to become a bit more familiar. I think the only way you can really do it is by trying. I wouldn't do a great amount, but I think you can try and then see how that works for you. I think one good thing to know is that if you do this, then you can keep on doing it with numerous coins and you can do it every day. Now, again, like I said, it won't work 100% of the time, but even if it does work 60-70% of the time, you're still making a profit. And you may think to yourself, well, what am I going to do with 3-4% gains every time? Well, first of all, you could do it multiple times in a day because generally that movement will happen within minutes. So you can watch it. If it goes up, it goes up, especially in this bull market. You will get that profit booked in. The other thing that I do want to emphasize is the effect of exponential gains. So let's say, for example, you had $500 and you times that about 1.025%. And let's say that's what you're making every day. And you'll say some of them worked out, some of them didn't. Accumulate. That's what I'm doing. If you do that to the power of 90, let's say, for example, so that's consistently making that every day. Now, that might be difficult. The markets may turn, but this is just more so for as an example of the power of compounding. That then becomes 4,614. So within 3 months, by just taking 2.5% every day, you would have gone from just 500 to pretty much 4,600, and that's a pretty big gain. That's like nearly 10xing. Now, if you're doing a few 2.5s a day, let's say you're doing 7-8% in total, then within those few months, you're gonna really increase that amount. So even on a 6% over the space of, let's say, 2 months, you're going to turn that 500 into probably 15,000. Now, it is a bit difficult to do that consistently, but it allows me to have a daily increase. And if you're making a significant amount, so if you're starting off with a significant amount, you can potentially, let's say you make $100 a day, you can potentially take out 50 and accumulate that 50, and that gives you income every day. If you've got a bigger amount, 100 in your pocket every day. So I think, given how high this market is at the moment, the value that it's at, I think there is a lot of value in looking at trading. Yes, you can still invest and hold, and I do believe that the value of these cryptocurrencies in the long term will go up a lot, but it's a matter of having patience, not selling when there are some downturns, because some people do. When they see that the price is going down, they begin to sell. They panic and they just want to get out of it. But if you can just keep hold of it long term, and you believe it's going to be worth a lot more in the long term, as you'll see, you can ride all of these ups and downs out, even if you're down a lot. And in the future, I think this price will be much, much higher. So hopefully, sorry about being a bit longer than usual, but hopefully that's allowed you to understand a bit more about trading if you haven't looked at it before, to become a bit more familiarized and actually even consider it. And like I said, you can always start off with a small amount and just try your hand at it. And if you're not comfortable with it, then of course, please don't do it. This is just letting you know how I look at the markets and how I see the benefits of trading in the short term over holding in the long term. Hope you've enjoyed that video. If you have, please do give me a like. I'll be back soon with another one. This is Cal with Crypto Crazy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.